Hiya! Thought I'd do another crafting chat, but with a different craft. Because this is a much bigger height thing, the angle is very different than the 5D painting, so you're kind of looking down on me. So I hope the angle's not too annoying for you all. I've managed to get myself in the picture, which I wasn't sure if I'd be able to at that height because it is much higher than me. But because I have a pole that comes down the middle of my tripod, I need that to go above the top of my inkle loom. You might be able to just see, no, I don't know if you can, let me go that way a bit. Right, so I've been doing this yesterday. You will see a better picture of it on my Instagram and when I finish this. Now this is just a test run using cones of acrylic yarn, so as you can see it's got very bitty, it clings to each other, and this is not the correct yarn to be using for a weaving thing, but I'm still waiting for my cones of cotton yarn to arrive, so I just thought while I wait I'll have to do this one. Lucky enough, Duncan has let me order the cones already, so I don't have to wait quite as long as I thought I would, because I thought I'd have to wait until I sold some more stuff, but Duncan's very nice to me. So I do have some new cotton yarns coming that will now be big enough to do the inkle looms. So I'll show you me doing it again when I got that, and you'll be able to see the difference. This is a good example to see why using acrylics or wool is not really good for doing this sort of. If you want a smooth yarn like a mercerised cotton or a smooth cotton or maybe a linen or something, because it bits up and kind of starts felting itself together, even the acrylic. It was nice and smooth before I started, but you can see all these little black bits of fluff, and it is doing it on the pink and the blue, though the blue's not as bad. But this is why you don't use this type of yarn. But this is just a practice run. It's been a long time since I even touched these cards, and this is the first time I'm doing anything proper with them instead of just playing around. Though I am still playing around because this will be a personal thing. I'm testing the setup. I did the first ones on this bit that I just showed you was 4 forward towards me and then 4 turns back, and then keep repeating that, and that produced one pattern. So what I'm going to do now is do 3 turns towards me and 3 turns back, and that will give me a different pattern, but I don't know what it's going to give me because this is an experiment. For the 4 turns I have a little list here so I can keep track of when I should swap over, and I've just realised I've forgotten to write out the thing for the 3rd, so I'm just going to pause while I write that out and then we will get on doing this. Right, there you guys. So here I wrote out each rows that I have to do, which ones are going forward towards me and which ones are going back away from me, so I can keep track, and then I have a counter on my phone that tells me which rows. If you've got good memory you don't need any of that, but I have a sucky memory, so I need little hints and tips to make sure I remember I'm going in the right direction. But you know, as this is just a play one, it doesn't matter if I do the odd one wrong. I don't have a beater to beat down my thing, so I just use a ruler. Normally I have a little blue one, but I can't find it, so I'm using my big one. But I don't think it really matters, does it? Okay, so you always start with the A and D at the top, because this one here, when you're going forward, is the one, the stitch you're actually working, and if you're going back it's actually this one. So always keep the one that you're starting your beginning your pattern with up here. I will explain all this properly in a proper tutorial. I'm just trying to show what I'm doing, so hopefully those who want to have a try before I do any tutorials will know. But I need to get more used to doing them all before I start trying to teach people, because I've only ever really played with them, not really properly sat down and worked out what I'm doing or any of that stuff. So as I said, the first one I was doing the pattern was 4x4, but I'm now going to do 3x3, so that's 3 turns forward, 3 turns back. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So obviously as I'm doing forward first, you just take all your cards, take them on the back and front, because you don't want to do it in the middle there because your hands will get caught. So you want the outside, and you just want to turn all of the cards, and that's just for this pattern that all the cards are turning. Some patterns you have certain cards that turn, but we're just doing a very basic pattern. And then if you move them up and down a little, that opens up your shed, you can see there, and that's when you pop your yarn through. I found this much easier than pick-up weaving. You can get some really delicate patterns with cards that take a lot longer with pick-up weaving. You can still do really pretty patterns with pick-up weaving, but it's a little less. Pick-up weaving takes a little more time. This is, you know, you're just turning the cards, and yes, sometimes if you're doing a complicated pattern you have to pick out which cards you're doing, so it can get as time consuming, but this is really simple way. When they all turn forward or all turn back, you can get really pretty. The pattern that's set up for this, some of them are in the S and some of them are in the Z weave thing, which I will explain when I do a tutorial, but just in case anyone's wondering, they're not all set up the same. There are different ones, which is part of what helps with the pattern. So I made sure I've put my little thing to say I've done one, so I know that I've done that one turn. And again, because we're doing 3 forward, I'm just going to turn them all again. And as I said, this is easier when you're not using a thread that clings. This is why you shouldn't use acrylic. You see how much that can thread together and stick together. It's really not good. But I figured you lot wouldn't mind watching me just practice and mess around. There's no point using the good stuff when I'm just experimenting and seeing what it looks like. I'll save the good stuff when I'm actually either doing a tutorial or making ones to sell. Just don't forget to pop your little marker so you know how many rows you've done. So obviously we're going to do one more turn forward, and you don't have to do the same amount forward and backwards, but it does make easier working with if you are picking a pattern that does that. But you can get some really cool ones by doing odd turns. Now obviously when you're doing full turns, as it's a square card, you'll be completing a circuit. As we're only doing 3, we're not actually going to be completing the entire circuit, so I have no idea what this is going to look like, which is part of the fun, I think. I know you can't really see what I'm doing at the moment. I can come forward a little. So with the ankle loom, it's a little more complicated on the setup. So yeah, so that was 3 forward. So now I'm going to be doing 3 back. So to do back, we're just going to turn them all backwards away from me, like that. And then do the same thing, open up the shed. And then I always like to push down the previous row before putting the next one. I think my tension is not quite tight enough. This is sliding a little bit, so I might have to adjust that. Okay. Do my row count. So again, keep your hands on the outsides and turn. Can you hear them sticking together? Now I don't have a proper thing to sort out my warp when I'm cutting all the lengths, so this tension is really quite shocking because some of the lengths were slightly off of each other, and so when I tied them together, a couple of them are a little looser than you would like. But again, once I've got the proper cotton, I'll make sure I do that properly. This is purely for fun. And I know some people like to wrap their thing different as well. And I keep meaning to do the figure 8 style one because it does look better. But I keep forgetting. And then once I've started, I just can't see the point in unwinding and redoing it all, you know, because I'm lazy like that. But this is just part of the fun, so. We got one more back. Let's come down a bit so you can see. So we're just turning. A good thing to do is to colour code your sides so you know you've turned them all correctly. But I don't currently have my pens with me, and so I haven't done it. But I do recommend it when you're starting out so that you can see where your sides are. And I will do it probably before the tutorial so you guys can see what I mean. But always bear in mind that I'm self-taught, so anything I tell you could be pronounced wrong, it could be slightly wrong information. I just go by what actually works for me. And it might not work for you, but you know, at least if you try my way and it doesn't work, you know you need to find a different tutor who works in a way that you prefer. But you know, hopefully it at least gives you a rough idea. So we've done our 6 back, so now we're going to go forward again. And this is simply all it is. Always check that you've got all your cards facing the right way, especially when you haven't got round to labelling them like me, because I'm silly. So thanks for the comments and feedback on all these chats that I'm doing. I have missed doing them, so it's been quite nice. And I know a few of you have said you've enjoyed listening and chatting away, listening to me ramble about God knows what. So that's nice. But I hope. Ooh, that's Alexa going off. That's going to be my notification for a delivery, I expect. We'll ignore that. It's only bath salts. I was running out of bath salts, so I needed to order more. I buy them from Amazon in kilo bags, 10 kilos at a time. So much cheaper than buying them at Tesco's. Right, so what did I just do? That one. Am I doing forward again? So this is why I keep notes so I know where I got to. When I show you this band when it's finished, you'll actually spot in the 4x4 section that I went wrong and I forgot what I was doing on one of them because I'm good like that. So slightly different pattern in a section of it, but again that's the point of seeing how this all works out. It's a bit of fun, isn't it? After I've done the 3x3 I'm going to do a 2x2, see what that looks like. Might not work for all I know, I don't know. This is the whole point of experimenting and having fun. And you hear that where it's really having to be pulled apart. It's not good, I promise you. So do not use acrylic yarns for this sort of thing, or any yarn that will or wool that would cling to itself. I mean, you could if you want, but it does make it more difficult, so it's not recommended. And you can see it makes it really fluffy, which is no fun. Go back a bit, you can sort of see. Returning again. Did I label that one? I have no idea. See, I told you this is terrible. I forget where I got to. I think I forgot to, and I hope we're now going back. See, told you I forget. I shouldn't get distracted, but I do. It doesn't take a lot to distract me. I'm like a toddler. See, ooh, shiny thing, ooh, shiny thing. You're laughing, but you know it's true.
That's why I'm laughing.
I forgot to do my little push down. Can you just tighten the tension on me at that end, darling, because it's sliding a little more than I'd like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing Duncan is about to go out and do some more in the garden. That's That's it, and pull it up that way. Thank you. Hopefully that'll do the job. What are we on? We're on back. Duncan did quite a bit of work on the garden yesterday, but it still needs a lot done. We've been working so much, he's not had time to do it, and even though he is now working from home, he still only gets the weekends to do it, because by the time he finishes work it's a bit late. I mean, he worked 2 hours overtime Friday, I think it was, to deal with a pain in the ass client, but you know, it's what happens when you work in that industry. They expect miracles. So what are we doing? We're doing back. Yeah. I can see that that's my third back because the A and the D is back at the beginning. So I'm just going forward and backwards a bit on it. Obviously on 4 the A and the D also lands back at the beginning, but that's because you've done a full circle. Okay, so now we're going forward again. So I need to do some research for patterns that are used by a lot of people, so that I can find something that I can teach you that wouldn't be breaking someone else's copyright. I mean, I can just write up a pattern myself, but the problem is chances are someone else has already done it, and I don't want to be accused of stealing someone's copyright, so I might have to do a bit of research just to be safe. But the thing is, I think so many people have been doing these for so many years, it's always going to get to the point that you're going to end up having the same as someone else. It can't be stopped, you know. It's only so many positions you can do when you're doing a full card 3 colour version, and I'll probably do a 3 colour version on the tutorial, or I might do 1 colour for a basic showing the technique, so not to confuse anyone, and then once I've done the technique I can add colours in then. I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you prefer to see a single colour to do the technique first and then move on to colour work, or do you want us to just see straight on to the colour work? My middle son, who house shares, has just informed me that my niece's boyfriend, who also lives with them, has coronavirus. So Reese can no longer go to work because he's in lockdown, or isolation rather. So I've just told them to make sure they're being sensible and making sure everything's clean and that, so it doesn't get passed on to the rest of the house, because that would be a pain. Right, so I've done that, so we're going to turn to back. So where am I in there? We're turning back. See, again, I'm confusing myself. It's not hard. It's really not hard to confuse me. I am terrible. So I'm starting to see the pattern, and I don't think this is much different. It's just only slightly off. So it probably wouldn't be a thing to do a 4 and then to a 3, maybe a 4 and then to a 2 or something, what, to a 5, I don't know. But this is the point of experiment, so we can see how it all goes. So back again. You see how one of my cards is coming loose down there. It's because of the tension. As I said, I've just grabbed random cones off my shelf. So they're probably slightly different and different elasticity and things. So as some are tighter, some are getting looser. So it's usually better to work with the same type. Do what I say, don't do what I do. But you know, when you're practicing, it doesn't really matter if oh, we're on one back, aren't we? Yeah. It doesn't really matter if it's the wrong stuff. It's just about learning it. You have to watch sometimes the cards catch themselves up on a thread from another card, so you just have to untangle them a little. Okay, so we're back at the beginning here. It would help if I pushed the previous row down first. So, for anyone commenting on my videos and not getting a response, YouTube is having a funny 5 minutes for the last several months. It's not always showing me my comments. I mean, I found comments that I haven't been showing for a year. So, if I haven't responded to you, it's simply because YouTube's hid them. So just give me a heads up and I will go hunting for your comment and then I can respond. Because I do try to respond to everyone who's nice. If someone's just being an asshole, I'll either respond assholey back, or more often than not I just delete the comment, because there's no point in negativity. I had, what do we want? We want fun. I had someone comment on one of my old videos recently, which is actually is my most popular video. And they're like, terrible scissors. So, did you watch the video? Told you there were terrible scissors in the video. Didn't have sharp scissors because back then I had young children who kept running off with my scissors and using them to cut paper with. And if anyone knows anything about scissors, some scissors do not cope well with being cut with paper, especially when they're your fabric scissors. And so they were awful. But I wasn't going to get new sharp set scissors in at the time because the kids would only go and do it again. So I told them at the beginning, I had terrible scissors, make sure you get good scissors. And then that person's just commenting saying terrible scissors. It's like, yeah, your point, already told you that. So I just deleted it because it was not a helpful comment. And so there's no need for that negativity. What am I doing? Fun, aren't I? Yes, I am. So, yeah, I let the odd mean comments stand because I usually respond to put them straight so that other people understand as well. But sometimes I just delete them because there's no point. I mean, there's some comments on one of my videos saying I was going too fast and they couldn't get it and all that. And I'm like, and I'm sorry about that, but that wasn't a tutorial, that was a review. I was literally showing you what it done. I was not teaching you anything, so if you were, it literally says review, not tutorial on it. If you were trying to use it as a tutorial, that's your mistake, not mine. So I leave that comment up there so other people can see that it isn't a tutorial, it's a quick and dirty review about how the thing works. And at some point I will do a tutorial on using it properly, but not at the moment. I think some people feel entitled that they can be as rude as they want because they're behind a screen and we can't see them, or we should be I can't think of the word, but you know, answering to their every whim. It should be perfect for them. No, this is my channel, and as much as I love doing things to help other people, at the end of the day it's my channel and I do what I want on it, not what they want on it. Yes, I take requests for stuff because I'm happy to do stuff if I can, but that doesn't mean I have to do everything everybody wants. not a chance in hell. If you don't like my style of video, go and find someone whose style of video you do like. So we're going back now. I don't mean to moan, because I do love all my watchers, but some people just, they're such assholes. They just want to have everything catered to them, and we're not here to cater to them. I'm here to share my life and my crafts, and at the moment also my puzzle games I'm enjoying doing, and if I can help someone out at the same time, that's blooming great, because I love helping other people, but I'm not going to go out of my way to help someone who's just rude. I mean, the other day someone commented on one of my videos that they couldn't quite get their pom-poms to stay together, and what did I mean by sewing? So I'd done a quick dirty, it's not dirty, it's just, you know, quick and dirty is the saying. I just done a really quick video showing how I do the pom-pom sewing so that person could see, because they asked nicely and they asked the question and if I could explain it better, and so a video was easy enough to do. So I don't mind helping out when people are like that. It just really annoys me for all rude people. What are we doing? We're doing back or forward. Where am I? I actually have no idea where I got to. I need to stop talking while I'm doing this so much, shouldn't I? Never mind, it doesn't matter if I go in the wrong place. Where should we do? Let's go back. And if that's not where I should be, it doesn't matter. I think I forgot to hit my row counter at some point because it's off from that, so I'm just going to get myself back to roughly where I should have been. And it might be a couple of rows off somewhere, but it doesn't matter. This is for fun. So if we go back again, that will have, that's back at the top where we should be. The A and D is back at the top again, so I know that I should be going forward from this point. And that means I can adjust my row count to where I'm going forward. So it's not too difficult to roughly work out where you should be if you can. So we're going forward. Can you hear that ripping of the threads? I don't know what I'm going to do with this band when I'm finished, because it's not really going to be usable for anything, because it's too bitty and horrible. But it's good practice to have a band that you don't care if it goes a bit wrong, because it makes it slightly more relaxed while you're learning. So it's good to have something you're not aiming to be perfect when you first go, you're just learning the technique. It's like whenever you crochet or knit, the first things you do are never perfect, unless you're one of the few lucky people I've seen who really do make perfect things even on their first go. But this is just nice. Should be going forward, shouldn't I? Yes. Just to play and have a laugh and not really worry about how it turns out. So yeah, the pattern has changed ever so slightly. It's basically made smaller circles, not so long, more compact, and I actually quite like them. But again, once I've finished all this, I'll give you a close-up so you can see it. This is not the tutorial side of things, so this is not going to be showing you how to do it, because I'm not close enough to the image for you to see, really. Oh, that was clever, Sonia. I just took it straight back out again. Give me a brain, I'll be dangerous. Should we try that again? Forward. Let's see. do a me, do not forget to put the thing through when you've worked it out. Or take it back out when you've already put it in and not realised you have. Which is me full of cleverness, really. Okay, so now we are going back. You can see the A and the D end up here when we start our back row. So obviously they start here and that would be the 4, but as we're doing 3 they always finish there and then come back up. So it can be reasonably simple to work it out if you're paying enough attention, which we all know I don't do, because I get distracted really easy. I'm like those characters. If you've got kids, did you ever watch the Shiny show? That was Mally's favourite show for years. And I'm like that. Ooh, grab yourself a Shiny. I distract so easily, it's ridiculous. I am like a toddler. Not far off the height of a toddler, really, am I? I've seen some blooming tall toddlers, I tell you. I look at them and go, really? Why'd they get all that height? Can't you save some for me? It's nice to hear some of my viewers are as short as me. Jo mentioned how short she is as well. She's actually slightly taller than me, but she's still a short like me. Which is quite nice because where I am, most of my family are taller than me, except my mum. My mum is definitely shorter than me, and don't get me wrong, my family's not a tall family. They're actually quite short themselves, but they're taller than me. My mum is actually an inch or 2 shorter than me. She hasn't hit 5 foot, bless her. What we're doing back. But somehow my my oldest younger brother somehow managed to get a tall gene and become quite tall compared to the rest of us. And as Mally, my 14-year-old, is now apparently taller than all of us, I think he is going to be catching up with my brother and going to be as tall as him, if not taller. So I don't know where you got that from. It's quite nice if he ends up taller than Reese. I think he's possibly taller now. He might be just an inch off of it. I'm not sure, because they don't stand together very often, and obviously we can't check that at the moment. So let's see, we're doing front, forward. But yeah, it'd be nice if Mally ends up taller than Reese, because he used to tease us something chronic, how he got so much taller than the rest of us. So if Mally gets taller than him, that would be brilliant. Obviously we can't see him for a while because of all this lockdown, and he doesn't live with us. And now obviously with actual coronavirus in his house, well, suspected coronavirus we should say, because no testing done, because we're not testing around here unless you're hospitalised. That's the current UK stance. But I know of 2 or 3 people who have had suspected coronavirus in Salisbury now, so we definitely have it around here, which is why it's so much more important that I stay indoors and hide away, because I cannot afford to get it. Which is why I now have time to play. With the shop closed, I don't need to worry about making toys or anything for the shop. At some point I need to get my stock back from them. But, you know, there's no hurry, no one's touching it. They've guaranteed the safety of all of the stock while this is all going on, because no one's getting into the shop. So I'll collect all that at some point, but it means I have time to do what I want instead of what needs to be done. So that's why I've been doing more 5D paintings, and now finally getting around to reacquainting myself with the card weaving, because I know I promised somebody a card weaving tutorial, I think last year, but I didn't have time to do it all, because as much as I don't mind playing and creating things, if I'm going to teach it, I do prefer to at least have a rough idea what I'm talking about, and so I didn't want to do a tutorial until I'd had a chance to play a bit more, and really understand how everything works. And there are other tutorials out there, so it's not as if I left them with nobody to help. Honestly, some of the tutorials are really not helpful for me. I struggle to understand a couple of the tutorials that are out there, but that's because we all learn differently. And I know some people don't understand how I'm teaching it, and that's fine. It's perfectly normal to need a different teaching method than someone else. We don't all learn the same way. My annoyance comes when, because they couldn't learn my way, that it's automatically assumed that it's my fault they couldn't learn. And it's not my fault, because I'm teaching one way. I'm not teaching multiple ways. And it's no one's fault that the way I teach isn't the way they learn. It's just, you have to find the right teacher for you, which is why I've done a lot of learning on my own, because I couldn't understand some of the other ways for the tutorials and these. But there are a couple that doing the setup that aren't too bad, and doing the weaving aren't too bad, but there's some who think they're being helpful, showing us, but you can't actually see what they're doing because the lighting is too dark or the angle is off, so we can't quite see it, and that just takes practice. Some of my first tutorials were awful. The amount of times I go off camera way too much, it's ridiculous. Now I know how to edit and zoom and pan. Well, Duncan does that most of the time. It's not quite as bad, but it is still pretty bad. What are we doing? We're doing back. But you know, some of you don't mind that I show my mistakes. I always show my mistakes. I don't pretend that I'm an expert. If I make a mistake, I show you guys it, because you can learn how to fix something from the mistake. If you never see what mistake happens, you never get to learn how to fix that mistake. So I don't mind showing that I make mistakes and how I fix the mistakes. And again, it may not be the way someone else fixes it, but it's what works for me, and that's all that matters. That for someone else it will work, and for someone it might not work for them. What are we doing? We're going forward now. It's just each has our own way of doing things. Yeah, I quite like the way this is coming out with 3. I might try to get a bit closer for you in a minute. Let's just finish this pass so that we don't get confused. Or rather, I don't get confused, because we all know I will. I'm kind of weird because I actually like hearing that almost ripping sound in the yarn. It's not good, but I like hearing it. Yeah, I chose to do the weft and the outside edges the same colour, so it just blends in nicely. Some people like to do a different colour, which will give a different look on the edge. It's entirely up to you how you do it, but again, I'll cover that when I eventually do a tutorial. kind of hoping that Duncan, once we can leave the house, he can go and buy some wood. He will build me a proper, I don't know what the proper term is, I call it a warping station, so to be able to set up the actual warp before I put it on here, because that would be really handy for me. What was I doing? We are going back. So if I go back, because we started wood forward, I'll do the back, and then that would be a complete circuit again, and then we can see how the patterns change slightly from the 4x4, which you guys didn't see me do. When I eventually do a tutorial, I will try to make sure you can see things from multiple angles, so you can see the shed being things and that. And I'll film that properly in my proper filming room, not these just nice laid back chats, because I don't know if you noticed, but my laid back chats, my craft and chat things are in my lounge because I'm just having some fun and relaxing. But if I'm doing a proper tutorial, then I tend to stay in the proper filming room with the proper light setup and the different angles I can do. It's quite a different setup. It's much more complicated, to be honest, but it works. It, you know, things like this, seeing multiple angles can be really handy. Whereas crochet and knitting, an angle from the top is pretty much all you need. So these sort of things take a little more, because obviously when I'm filming at the side, you need a clean, clear background at the side as well. Right, there we go. So that is a complete circuit. So let me see if I can just shove this. It's going to be at an angle because, as I said, I'm working around my tripod here. Right, let's see if we can go in. That's out. Right, here we go. So, as you can see, down here was where I was doing the 4 turns, and you can just see here, hopefully, where I've switched over to the 3 turns. So it's changed ever so slightly. It's much smaller circles. Does that help? Can you see? So there's the 4 turns and this is the 3 turns. So even just doing that one less turn does change the pattern. And now the underside, if I can find a way to twist this around a minute. See, this is the pattern from the underside. It's a little harder to see where we've gone from the 4 to the 3. Because the pattern is pretty much the same. You can just about see, can you see there, you've got the circle, and then this one here is the smaller ones. Can you see that? So this is where I was doing the 4 up to that point, and then we went up to 3, that middle section is just what's changed. So yeah, it's not too bad. I really like the undersides of these, so I think they can all be quite reversible, which is quite nice. But yeah, so you can see there is a difference depending on how many turns you make. And the pink doesn't show up quite so much on this one, but I don't think you can see it on camera, but in real life you can see the little pink dots, but it's much more subtle than this section where you can really see the pink sitting out. As you can see, the tension on the pink isn't brilliant, so it does stick out a little, but again, once I've got better yarn I can set that up better. So let's just try to put this back in the right place again. See why it's all very different. I can't be that close while you can see this is why it's all catching. This is why you don't use acrylic and that. So there we go. But hopefully you can see the difference in it now. I'm gonna do these approximately the same amount of rows as I did for the 4 but I will do one less set of turns, because the 4 I did up to 147 turns, whereas this one I'm only going to do 144 because I like to finish on a full set. So as I start with a forward, I like to finish on a back, so that it's just a complete circuit then, you know. So I'll have roughly the same length done on this one, but it'll just be slightly less rows. It doesn't really matter. As I said, it's just for fun. I might cut them up, sew them and turn them into little key rings for myself or something. I don't know. Eventually I will buy more cards and so I can work on a bigger piece, because this loom could take a wider piece. And then I'm going to sew them together and make bags and things, because they can be quite cool. So at some point I will do that, and if people want a tutorial on that, let me know, but it will be a little way off, because I've not made bags for them before, so I have to check what works and what doesn't before I teach anyone that. I could always film me doing it so you can see how much I struggle and what works and what doesn't. It's up to you, I suppose, if you're interested in that sort of thing. Okay, so we're going forwards again. My throat's starting to hurt, so I'm going to need to have a drink in a second. Don't know how much longer Duncan will be outside. He didn't come in until like gone 1 o'clock yesterday, and I was hungry. I wanted my lunch, but he was working hard and I didn't want to discourage him out there working, you know. When the menfolk are finally doing stuff you've asked them to do for months, you don't knock it. He'd do it if he had time. He just doesn't have time. You know, he's got a lot on his plate with working full time and then coming home and help take care of me. There's a lot of stuff I can't do and he has to do it for me. So, what's people watched on Disney Plus so far? I can't remember if we finished it or we've got one episode left of the World According to Jeff Goldblum. That's been a really interesting show. I've really found it quite fascinating. The things he's covered, and he's really gone into the history and that of it, and it's been quite fascinating. So if you do have Disney Plus, I totally recommend watching that. Also, the guy is just hilarious. He's a little cuckoo in a good way. He made the show really interesting and funny. What am I doing? What am I doing? I don't know. What am I doing? I am back there. I'm about to do my first back. There we go. Should be a drinking game. Have a drink every time you see me get confused. You'd certainly be drunk by the end of it. I'd like to go live at some point, but I struggle to go live because the setup I need is a little more complicated, because I'd have to use my laptop and I don't have a table set up in the other room to go live by having my laptop and the cameras and everything set up, because none of these recording cameras are actually able to be plugged in and go live. Only my webcam would be, and that wouldn't particularly be very helpful. I have been tempted to go live on my webcam while filming properly one of these, and then put the filming side of it with the proper pictures up after we've done the live. I don't know. That might just annoy people. Who knows? What are we doing? We are going back, aren't we? We are, aren't we? What are we doing? Yes, we're going back. I need brain food. I've had my oat bar today, but that's all I've eaten so far, my oat bar, and I think my brain needs proper feeding at the moment. So I'll probably stop soon and get some food. I don't actually know how long we've been going. What we got? 46 minutes plus whatever it was I recorded before I paused to rewrite the number sheet that I forgot to do, because I'm good like that. You can see the blacks in some places starting to get loose because they're starting to show up a little more. So the thread is definitely stretching, which is not good, but you know, that's the way it is when you use the wrong stuff. This is why you can see what I'm doing and know why it's wrong. You can see all the problems you'd have if you did use this stuff, which I think is helpful. I don't know if other people do, but I do. Having a visual representation of why you shouldn't do something, use that particular yarn, something helps me remember it more than someone just saying, oh, but you shouldn't use this yarn because it can do this, because I'm not going to remember. If I see it happening, I tend to remember better. So hopefully this has helped you guys as well. So now we want to turn, what are we on? We're on forward. I don't know if you noticed, but all my cards point to this side because the book that I read said that you should always have the letters on your left hand side. I don't know why, but that's what it said, so that's what I did. But in theory I don't think it would matter which side, because you know it's just the same card each side. Personally I'd be tempted to have the letters on both sides, and then I can see easier that they're all in the correct alignment, but I don't know. I'm going to have to make myself some more cards because these particular ones come from America and I can't find any of them in the UK. I can find lots of different ones, but not these exact ones. When I got them, I didn't realise that I was getting them from the US, because I got it from the Amazon UK store, but of course some of the people on Amazon nowadays from other countries sell in your country's Amazon account. So just because I'm ordering from Amazon UK doesn't mean the product I'm getting is from Amazon UK, which is a bit of a pain in the butt, to be honest, but not much I can do about it. Those blacks really are getting a little loose. I might have to strengthen that all up again at some point, go through and give it a good thing, because I can feel them in the wrong places there. So I'll probably stop soon, just so that I can actually try to reorganise and retension my threads. Again, if you had the proper setup, that wouldn't happen so much, but I don't, so it does happen. That doesn't really bother me. It's still fun. So we are doing forward again. See one of those cards that's sitting over the wrong one. There we go. You can usually spot if they start to catch on the other one, because you can feel them, they're out of alignment and there's more tension on that particular area. So it doesn't take much to untangle them. Again, if you had better tension, they'd probably get not get so caught up so often. But I don't know. So let me see. So let's do one more round. Let's do the back round, and then I'll probably stop at that point, because I think we probably would have got to somewhere around an hour at that point anyway. But I'll give you a close-up so you can see where those threads are getting loose and how it affects the final result. So I think that's handy to show. The fact is, I'm not a perfect worker on anything. I just have fun doing it, and if it comes out nice, I'll either keep it or sell it. If it comes out awful, I'll bin it. It's not the end of the world. What are we doing? We're doing back. There was a time that if I wasn't keeping the braid that I've done, the band, I'd unweave it and reuse the threads just for practice, but I ain't got time for that nowadays. And as I tend to use stuff that's on the cone, not separate balls now, it's not so bad because I have a little more leeway for making things, because usually the items that I sell will cover the cost of the test pieces anyway. Because, you know, I've got to make a profit. If I never covered the cost of my test pieces, I'd have no money to actually make things to sell. Where are we? Okay, so that was the last of the back. Yep, we're back to D and A at the top there, along all of them. Okay, so put that up there out of the way. Let's go a bit closer, work that around. Okay, no, wrong way. Get him really close, so I'll show you. There we go. Can you see where the black loosened up? So you got these nice bits, and then just here and here the black loosened up on them, and that's made them stick out a little. I don't know if it's affected. Yeah, you can see the circle there. It's just not quite as neat. So this is why it's important to have good tension to make sure little things like that don't happen. It's also a good idea to make sure you've wove enough on or set up enough that you can have this test piece at the beginning before you make the item that you want to make, to check to make sure that the tension is correct for all of it. Can you see how bad that's getting now? Look. Don't want to go that way. So, but I think it's still quite nice, and I definitely think I'll do this pattern on a proper band when I get the cottons in, because I am really quite liking that 3. I will test some other turns and that on this one to see what other patterns I can come up with. I do like the 4x4, but the 3x3 is currently my favourite because it's much more nicer and compact and petite. So yeah, I might see what a 5x5 or 2x2 looks like as well, and see which ones I prefer for this setup. But that's the fun. Just because you've got one set up with your colourways doesn't mean you can only do one pattern. You can do lots of different patterns with the exact same setup, just by changing how many you turn, how many forwards and back passes you do. And even, I mean, as I said, some people can split them in half and do them different ways, or do every other one for even more complicated patterns. There's a lot you can do on this. So at some point, hopefully soon, I will have a proper tutorial on this. But I'm going to go and get a drink and get some food. So I'll see you all later. You all take care. Bye!